Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. We are back again. Dumelang. Hello. Hi. We are back again. Episode number 12. Crime busting, where we are dealing with GBV issues. In connection with GBV issues, we also look at relationship issues. Our topic today is a very interesting one. And I know it's something that many couples, they are experiencing challenges with. Intimacy issues. Today with me, I have 4 men that are in the room with me. So I just wanted to make it as real and as engaging as possible. So from time to time, I will give them the mic so that they can make their contribution and ask any question that they want to ask. All right, what is intimacy? We are going to talk about mainly sexual intimacy, because no relationship can really survive without getting that part right. You know, the sexual intimacy is very important, but it does not only start there. It starts from the relationship. You know, many challenges that people experience, everything starts with communication. The communication that people are struggling with, it also affects intimacy at the end of the day. Let me speak to the men. Let me just get into it straight. To say, what is it? You know, because many men, they are saying, you know, my woman, they don't want to be touched. They don't want anything. And they are using, you know, the intimate part as a way of punishing the men, you know. So what is it that they are not doing right? And I'm saying to all the men today to say, men, sex or intimacy or lovemaking does not only start in the bedroom. Throughout the day, you build that momentum. Women are very emotional. You know, women are very affectionate. They want you to nurture them. They want you to tell them nice things. You know, you need to stroke their emotions and take care of their emotions. How kgonege gore o tloge vroeg ka mo ntlong o sa bolela le mosadi ya hao or le motho o nnang le ena, o be o boe in the afternoon ka bo 6 le sa bolela? How kgonege? During the day, there must be that conversation nyana, okay, la bona di WhatsApp nyana, hi love, how are you? You know, simple things. It does not have to be complicated. Mara wena ha sale o tlohile ko ntlong fru, o ba wa bona motho wa hao in the evening, o sa bolela le ena during the day. A o itse le hore motho ha o etsang ko mmerekong, a o itse hore o jile eng, a o itse le hore o right na. Those are the things that are adding to the intimacy later on ha le kopana. So let's make it a habit, men, to say, you know, you are taking care of your woman's emotional needs. You know, she must feel how she's being loved. You know, appreciate your woman throughout the day. Appreciate her. You know, that kind of a thing. Keep her interested. Even though let your woman think about you. And you do that by taking care of her emotional needs. Hi love. Nakucheka. Alright na. Ujile ing. You know, those are the simple things that you can do on a daily basis. You know, but on that special day, you can even go deeper. Prepare for later on. Don't wait. Don't suspend the communication. Don't wait to get home later on. I mean, during the day, during the day. You must make sure even during the day. You know, and then it does not take a lot of effort. If you cannot call, then send a WhatsApp. Marantoya hore wena the whole day udidimeti how check how, and then later on you want to be intimate dilibona. Where do they get the strength to be intimate luena? Where do they get it? Mara, if you keep her warm during the day, at night it's a done deal. It is just like that. And another thing that we can do to also make sure that the intimate part, it does not suffer, is to help with the house chores. Bobotle re mmerekong, we are going to work, we come home, we are tired. All of us, we are tired. Rena le bana, hona le mmereko o tshwantseng o diriwe mo ntlong, there are chores, tshwantseng go apeiwe, there are kids to be taken care of, there is homework that needs to be done. You cannot leave all those things to be done by a woman. Wa bona hore if wa motlohela and then bo botlele lapile le tlammerekong, already her energy is being depleted. But then how ka thusa mo le mo? Wa bona gore la tshwarisana. You are actually encouraging the intimacy. There must be that emotional intimacy before there is actually physical intimacy. So most of the time we find the men, they want physical intimacy without emotional intimacy. It cannot be. It can't be. So har fitla hae in the afternoon, ar thusane re bontshane. It cannot be an issue ya hore wena ha o fitla ko hae o lapile o nna mo sofeng. O nyaka about this everything. Kamo your wife or your partner tshwantse ra shiane le bana, tshwantse ra apeye, tshwantse ra thuse bana ka homework, wena o dutse fela. And then you want us to be intimate. I mean, you can see it really does not talk to each other. So if we can get that right, you don't even have to struggle with that. Many times you find people barobala ka di stofi, barobala ka di bijama and what have you, or they deny you the intimacy because their emotional needs are not taken care of. Because when as munna, how to see you are not doing your part at home. And when I say you're not doing your part, I'm saying about, tu sanyana. Kadilo tse leng hore wa bona hore di a nkimela nna as mosadi. So, I mean, it's a partnership, this thing. We are in it together. So let us take care of our women's emotional needs. Then you will see the intimacy will also improve when it is time for us to really be sexually intimate, because there is no relationship that can survive without sexual intimacy. Research has shown that people who have a healthy sexual relationships, they actually communicate better. So there are less fights. So the more we are intimate with each other, is the less we are going to argue, is the less we are going to fight. Because if we are not intimate, remember there is that energy that is building up inside of you that needs to be released. And one of the ways to release that energy is through intimacy. So if you don't release it, then ya pakelana. So you become angry. So intimacy is very important in relationships. Let us take care of the women's emotional needs. Don't take it for granted as munna horai o shapo. I mean, when was the last time you told your woman you love her? When was the last time you told her that you miss her? I mean, those are the things that you can say. Hey, love, I miss you. Money an hour ago or 30 minutes ago. Those things, they really excite a woman, and they make her feel the man is thinking about her. So you are giving her that sense of security, because women want to feel secure. So the more they feel secure, the more you make them feel they are secured, they are loved, they are accepted as they are. Then now you are encouraging her now to be open in intimacy. And it's not women, they don't want to be intimate. No, I mean, intimacy goes both ways. Needs are... we all have our needs. And, when we are intimate with each other, there are chemicals that are also released, mainly oxytocin, which is responsible to make us feel good. And it is the hormone that also promotes the connection that two people can have with each other. So if those hormones are not released, there's a disconnect in the couple. And that is where you see now there's a lot of fighting, there's a lot of miscommunication, where at the end of the day, outside the family to get that satisfaction. So it is important for us to be intimate with each other. My ladies, let us not use sexual intercourse as a punishment for your partners. There's a way in which problems can be resolved, but not through sex. Nobody can force you to have sex. Yes, it is illegal. Sex must be consensual, but let us be cautious not to do that. Whether we like it or not, men are more sexual than women. Many men are more sexual than women. Men think about sex more than women do. That is just nature. It is like that. So now if you deny them that part, it leads to frustration for the men part, because they also need to release their emotions as much as you need to release. So be careful, because the more they are denied that, the more they become frustrated, and it's the more they will detach from you, and the more they will now engage in behaviors that are counterproductive to the growth of the relationship. So let us be careful not to use sex as a punishment. Rather, let us talk about our issues, so that we deal with them, so that the sex part is not affected. And many men have also said that, women, we lose that spark once we are chosen. Somebody talked about marketing and retention. The marketing energy before you get somebody is not the same as retention energy. And the same input is not being made. How market has something, how Sanzo Unyaka something, you go all out and you do everything that you can to get this thing. But once you get it, then you start to relax. And they are saying, that is the same with women. Go to especially once fella banyadiwa, then right to hella. Para itlohella bathong, no more makeup, outside miriri, outside manala. They also complained about lingerie. To say you don't even take care of what you are wearing inside. Okre hore adime chelo mecha, kota se wa peri pinky, kodimu wa peri blue, kore is not even pleasing to the eye. Kota se ke lacy, kodimu ki silky, kota kata ne fela, arizo hore hwetsa hala. So let us take care of how we are looking, because many men are visual beings. So already when they see you, or you are ready and you have taken care of yourself, and it just does the whole trick for bona. So let us take care of ourselves. Gore o Mrs. Mamang bianong, and then una le bana baba 3 baba 4 is not an excuse. Gore o gainile weight nyana because of bana or whatever the case may be is not an excuse. Let's put an effort, man. Let's make the intimacy part more interesting. Let's go out. Let's read about things. Let's try new things. Let us be innovative in our intimacy journey. But happy, the men, when I hear them, is that we also tend to relax. The performance also dies. It's just dead still. He has to do all the job. When I relax, fella, those things count. So we need to put in the extra effort in it. And it's very important also that during that process, we also communicate with each other. So communication goes throughout the whole relationship. You still communicate. Maybe your person does not know how to touch you or where to touch you, you need to guide them in that process. To say, encourage them. If there's something right that they are doing, keep on encouraging them so that they continue doing it. If there's something wrong that they are doing or something that they're doing, does not give you pleasure, also communicate during that process. Don't just keep quiet and harbor resentment, and then when I wa detach, only one wa feel hormuto is not meeting your needs. Mara how bulele. So let us learn to communicate also during that process. Tell each other what you like. Tell each other what you don't like. Tell each other, let's talk. Hore, what is it that we can explore? Because you find, Hore, people have also fantasies, sexual fantasies. And those are the things that you need to speak about before you commit in a relationship. Because the sexual fantasies are not the same. Some people have fetishes. Some people have preferences. So there must be that synergy in terms of our sexual preferences. We need to talk about it. We need to maintain an open mindset. There are some people who prefer things that are not usual, during intimacy. And then when as a partner, it shouldn't surprise you. You must be there to cater for the needs of your partner. And that is just how it goes, So the more healthy sexual relationships we have with each other, the less conflict there will be in the family. Because Hari sa engage on a sexual level, really it builds up a lot of tension. It builds up a lot of stress. It builds up a lot of frustration. And then when those emotions are built up, where will they be released? Wabana Hore is going to be released in ways that are not wanted. So there are things, there are some emotions that can only be released through sexual intercourse. That is why it is very important not to deny each other. And it's not only women who deny men. There are also men who deny women. They also use that as a punishment. They do, You can say, Hore, men, is ever ready. But there are some who really use that to punish their women. So let us make sure we don't use that as a punishment. Rather offer yourself, and if you are used to talking and engaging and doing what, then don't do it. But offer yourself. Just don't deny somebody access to you, because it becomes very, very dangerous. Somebody was saying that, men are really more sexual than women. It's like koloi. He's not petrol. Yes, stuck. Whether you like it or not. And that is how a man functions. So without it, they really get stuck, So we need to maintain and encourage that openness in sexual relations so that we build healthy families. In many families, sex. I think. Sex and money, it makes people fight in relationships. But I do understand also that there are also other factors that can affect intimacy issues. The first one being maybe financial constraints in the family. It can affect the level of intimacy because, when you are frustrated, when you don't even know, tomorrow, it's very hard for you to be intimate. There's also mental health issues that can affect intimacy. If you are depressed, sometimes you find it's difficult for you to even have interest, in sexual intercourse, which is why it is very important to take care of your mental health needs. Because as much as you would want to do it, you find wazama mara akhona ntho e etsahalang because you are depressed. The depression is wearing you down. You know, a lot of stress also affects the intimacy part. I've spoken about financial issues and also medical issues. You know, you may be diabetic, you may also have some neurological conditions that are affecting your manhood. So take care of yourself. That is why it is important for us to be physically healthy. Because when you get into the routine of being physically healthy, going to the gym, ushiana, keeping your body fit, then you reduce the stress levels and you ready the body actually to fight against any medical conditions that may want to arise and disrupt your bodily functions. So keep fit physically, keep fit mentally, also keep fit financially and socially. You know, have friends that you can interact with, because you cannot be with somebody the whole time. That is another thing that affects intimacy. You know, banyo together all the time, or osafi the other one freedom to go. It's very important. Move space. You know, give each other space in the relationship. You know, let him or her go out, interact with their peers, so that they can come back being revived as an individual. So with sexual intimacy, please, let us not deny each other. Men, don't deny your women, yourself. Don't deny her. Because sometimes, you know, men that use intimacy to punish, you know, or ML. You know, or he just does things to show you he's just not available. You know, women are para di bijama, are para di stofi, you know, put on those sexy lingerie, look appetizing. Just look appetizing, man. You know, and let us be available for each other. Don't deny each other one another. That is the biggest mistake that you can ever make. Yes.
Basadi, Baba Pila always when they go out. Yeah, atwa oto mona lo ena o bo ubele jela senyano mara. Wetsi msadi ya ko pila bang. Mara ke nako o mmona gore o pila. He atswa. He aboa o tsia men to men o tlobola le wiki ela tlhela kwa. O kopana le ena banong ka sebele ka mkwaleng aba botso re wetsi lo tse dintapisitse lo tse di amfisa la tlhele di kwa etsa go khole kwa because of utlile go comfort zone re fetule di comfort zone tsa di partners tsa rena mara ko ntle ba sa feel hore go sana le challenge, so they need to up the game he ba tswela ko ntle.
But up the game, ladies. Don't look beautiful only. Really, men are visual beings. They want to see. You know, you need to entice the eye. Or how lebella fela, kor askaduma any other women. So don't take that weak kapila man. Ere au enjoy wa per wiki e. O kanzan wa para lituku mo di ma wiki e. You know, but just look good. Put on those eyelashes. Apara di hili. O kaze pele o apere di crocs kamontlung the whole time. Kwena li di crocs, kwena li di long dresses. Hange wa para ukila bona. Do those things. Be appetizing. Look appetizing. Not only when you go out, but also when you are in the home, when you are with your person. If you can just remember this. Horobanna. Matho. Matho is everything. So feed the eye of a man. Let them be pleased with what they see before them. Then everything else is a history. Let me give it to my brother here. He wanted to say something.
ke ne kopa botsisa ka ntho e nngwe man. Ha e fitla go like basadi ba bang bona o tla rena le dateng ya hore ra sokola re fitla go dikopong bolela ka di-spiritual calling what. So e re betha le hona kwa hore e fitla neng go di-spiritual calling tsa hae like bo di-fasting tsa bo khona di bereka bjang wa ntlhaloga gore ba re tima ka honestalise.
Spiritual calling, that's time for fasting. I always say things do not end wrong, they start wrong. Because those are the things they don't really discuss before linyalan. To say, namutwaga wezi spiritual calling, whether ke pastor or kinal madlozi or maybe ke motho wa thapelo. You know, I pray. And there are sometimes I must limit the sexual intercourse because I want to connect with God, or I want to connect with the spirit. Because when you want to connect, yes, you must deny yourself those things. But those are the things that you need to talk about, and it cannot be all the time. It can't be all the time. You know, there's a time when you are breaking the fast. If you are in a fast for 21 days, are you going to be without food for 21 days? I guess you do break the fast. Let us be considerate and let us not use God or spirituality to bring challenges in the relationships when it shouldn't be there. Talk about these things. No, I know there is nobody who's forever fasting. If it becomes a regular thing, it may mean maybe the man or the woman is running away from something, which shows there is a problem. So seek help, talk about it, engage your partner. Let's learn to engage each other openly and frankly. You know, let's talk about issues, man. Let's talk about those deep issues we shy away from. You know, talk about it, dissect it. Bonsanang as a couple, and then lebonsane with the idea you want to understand one another. So yes, spirituality is a thing, but let us not use that as an excuse. And we cannot be on 21 days fasting every month. Every month. Where now we fast for 21 days. Every month. I couldn't. But how was fasting the period happy? But you can see it really doesn't add up.
Yeah, right. Honestly, basadi ba re bolaisa tlala. Like a re need. And you know something ka banna ba tshwana le bana, because ntho ba inyakang ba communicate and it's straightforward. Ha re mosadi ya ka ke tsatsi le la rena ka tjeko o ba vocal about it, and then wa mo deprive wa kwata ne ba bona wa kwata jika lebelleko ha ro bala pila motho ha ro ba lo paletse go ba le boroko because of ha understand hore I thought tshwentse re be le agreement, mara ha e sa ba agreement. Decision e tla from one side all the time because of now the power to say no. Wa understand. So that's the challenge irna le nyona hore ha wa ban ratimiwa. Like serious, it's a serious issue. And he ke tswa mo kontlung ke tshwere ke tlala. Salo feta mo monya wa KFC jo tshwere ke tlala, yo bethile tlala. Wa utwa monkhola wa KFC. And then feta mo KFC o khotse. A o inyaka lo inyaka. Wa ngana so banna ra khotsofala ho ka mpa. He ke tlala he ke ya kontle. Ke lo feta ka mpo ke feta mo nya wa KFC ke khotse.
Ba timiwa bontate ba complainer, you know, gate ba timiwa bana ba batho. So we are pushing them hore ba ilo reka KFC instead of eating ka mo ntlung. You know, a normal sexual relationship, you cannot stay more than 4 days in a week without being intimate with each other. Minimum should be at least 3 days a week. 3 days a week. At least 3 days. You must be intimate. Otherwise, you lose that connection. You know, at least 3 days a week. If you can, every day. Why not? You know, let's communicate. Let's find out, you know, the appetite of the other person. We know there are some people who have more appetite than others. You need to feed mutwahao according to appetite yabon. And let's remember, hormone relationship, I always say, there's a man, there's a woman, and there's the relationship. You know, meaning khore, yes, we are in a relationship. Yes, you do not lose your individuality because we are in a relationship. But at the end of the day, we must remember, as much as we may be catering for our own individual needs, there's also the needs of the relationship. And that is where now we need to compromise. To say, maybe as a person, I'm not feeling like this, you know, I'm not feeling like this, but for the sake of the relationship, you compromise, you know, you don't feel like being intimate, but for the sake of the relationship, you give in. And that is not to say that you are violating yourself or you are violating your body or, you know, wainyata or whatever the case may be. No, you are building the relationship because at the end of the day, individual as we may be, we need to build the relationship. And in building the relationship, there are compromises that needs to be made. So if now you don't want to compromise, and then it's how all the time, where is the relationship going to go? If now you cannot compromise, and then why only one, and you disregard the needs of the other person, where is the relationship going to end? That is where now we are pushing the other partner to go to KFC instead of eating hard body akamuntu. We are forcing people to do things that they don't want to do. And we are not encouraging that, but that is the reality. That is what happens. That is the reality of the situation. If somebody does not get it, and you are using it as a punishment, they will be tempted outside to do the things that they do not want to do because they do not get it inside the house. Let me hear, is there anything that you want to ask?
Yeah, another thing, if concern ban, you'll find out that yes, over because of and then to some of us ban we enjoy that moment because of few, and then we will feel for so we won't even enjoy.
Participation is important, but also participation has to do with how you are also treating the woman. If you want her to be fully there and to engage with you, as I said when we started, you must take care of her emotional needs. Utuse obe present. Then they would want to please you. You know, women, they will reciprocate what you give them. So if you are taking care of them, they will also take care of you. But then we find those situations, they do happen because there's a disengagement. And it means the woman might be unhappy about something. So, you know, they don't care anymore. Or they've been communicating their needs to you. You know, but you don't listen. Or you just disregard what they are saying. You know, this is my sensitive area. I like you when you touch me there. But when you don't listen, are disengaged. Then that is where you find women disengaging and not being interested because we are not listening to each other. When you do what you think pleases the woman, I don't want that, but you keep on doing it. So what disengage at the end of the day? So that is why it's also important for us to have a foreplay before the real thing. You can't expect a woman to always be ready. She's not ready. Play with each other, explore each other's bodies. You need to be open with each other, explore each other's bodies so that you can learn what are those areas that really satisfy my partner. Touch those areas. That is what you need to do. That is what intimacy is about. It's about two people doing things to each other and for each other that only the two of them can do. It's intimacy. It's between the two of you. So there's no hiding anything from each other. Be open, communicate, listen to each other. Have foreplay. And as I say, foreplay takes place throughout the day. Those small messages, those hellos, those I miss you, those I love you during the day, those, ojileng, oshapona ko mmerekong, that is part of the foreplay. Wa bona hore wa mo prepare already. And then when it is time, don't just rush into it and want to see the end product without putting in effort. Tsamekang man. Tsamekang and, explore new things. Go to Sexpo. See, if you need to get toys, for example, do that. There's nothing wrong. It's intimacies between you and me. Don't be afraid of each other. Don't be afraid to explore. But then you explore within a secured relationship. There's another question here.
Yeah, rena banna re tenea ofo ka pele. Re tenea ofo ka pele mo ileng gore when coming to party ela ya re have sex. Nna ke tseba ba re monna ke nku o lela te mara nkara re sa ba dinku ba sa di ba ke bona dinku anano. Gore ha a ba retenyana man mo no di dimala ngare ke nku. Hawa.
A man wants to be honored, a man wants to be respected. Even during intimacy, they need their engagement. But not only them, also women, they need encouragement. That's why I say it's important. Let's communicate while we are busy. Let's communicate with each other, But ladies, there's a request to say, More, man, give him the honor, encourage him. Or you are doing the right thing. You know what? Just say words that will encourage him to keep on doing what they are doing. Paroska didimala. Wano didimala ho. Uno didimala fela. Ahona nothing. Kwarkur udidimete fela unku fela. Awa ladies, awa batong. Awa arna hanempila. Wait. Let's express ourselves. But if you are used to communicating and expressing yourself even outside the sexual intercourse, then it becomes easy. During that act, you communicate. And that is where actually you will get the truth of somebody. They will tell you the inner things that they cannot tell you. How are you all right? Wabana sexual intercourse is like somebody who's drunk. Somebody who's drunk, they tell the truth. They tell you as it is. So even during sexual intercourse, you will get to the truth of the person. And then what is it that they want to say? So let us not be quiet. Engage, talk, encourage each other during lovemaking, during sexual intercourse. Another question.
Basically covered. Wale yenku incovered. But yeah, it's. I also want to say, sexual intercourse is not all about penetration. As you said, you start from somewhere. Perhaps you might not even penetrate. You umanidlala, and if both your souls are at what you are doing, you will obviously enjoy even cuddling more than just your penetration. So it's more than just saying to people, Solanka. It's like Muntu is saying, oh, come on, get it on and release and go. It's fine. Ngazuthi manje almost said ngiyakhohlwa these things nabantwana bayazibona. But I want to say it's not like uthengile. You've paid. And you want to relieve yourself and go. When you are in a relationship, there has to be that connection. And if you don't connect, it's not gonna make it. You're not gonna go through. That's why the other person who's over imvu, that person will just be quiet because the two of you are not connecting. There must be connection. There must be. And then unalo, you must now rewind and think of the other past relationships that used to please you, for you to be able to feel like this one is actually you're doing the previous one. So you're rewinding to bring back your pleasures, but you are not being currently pleased on what you're doing. That's why connection is highly important in this one.
Intimacy is not just about penetration, and there must be foreplay and there must be connection. The connection is very important. Connection, spiritual connection. People is very important. Let's talk about these things. I don't know how to overstress it. Communication and dealing with these things before we commit in relationships. There must be spiritual connection. There must be intellectual connection. It does count. Intelligence does count. Are you compatible intellectually now? Because if you are not compatible intellectually, you find there's a lot of misunderstandings that arise in your relationship. I'm going to give a basic example. Maybe it's just an example. Grade 5. You have a master's degree. Intellectually already, you are not on the same level. There's bound to be misunderstanding. There's bound to be problems in that. There must be emotional connection. Take care of each other's emotional needs. So we must be compatible, even emotionally, as much as we are compatible spiritually, as much as we are compatible intellectually. That is where, the connection comes in. And there must be physical connection, man. When haliduzi fela, just hold hands. You don't have to do anything. Hold hands. That's already a disconnection. Why just to sit? Because that is part of the connection. That is part of encouraging each other to be intimate with each other. You are telling each other, I want you already, by sitting next to each other. There are some couples who don't want to sit next to each other. There are some couples who don't hold hands. You wonder, kante batho ba ke couple or eng ale tshwarane le matsoho ale hagane. There is no physical interaction. La tsamaya bo botle ka makoloing, o mongwe phuthile matsoho, o mongwe wa driver. A gona connection. There must be connection. Learn to touch each other. Touch each other's hands, touch each other's heads. If you brush each other's heads if you have to. That is not sex. Like just during the day, have that physical touch with one another. It's very important. It's very, very important. hali emi ko queue ko Spar or Woolworths or Checkers or Shoprite or wherever you may be, let's a grocery liemi mo line tshwarana nyana bathong tshwarana nyana. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Give her a kiss on the forehead. There's nothing wrong with that. But only na liemi mola and then higher now you want to be intimate. It really doesn't work like that. So during the day we encourage each other to touch each other. The most thing, there's nothing wrong with that. Let's cover the stranger. But and let's get Havana. Yeah, and sometimes also when we get to that part, many women I know, they never reach where they're supposed to reach. So it's the men who reach. Women, many women, they don't. You know, because you find her already, you have missed her emotionally. So once you miss her emotionally, yes, she wants to do it for you and with you, but you never really satisfy her. She doesn't. So it must be an effort on you, the man, to say, "Hey, Mutwaga, am I doing the right thing? Are you happy? What must I do to help you to get there?" It's a frank discussion. Mara men don't even ask. They don't care as long as wanabali sharp. You know, that is where now you find a woman it's all about you. I get it's about you. It's not about me. You don't care about me. You don't even ask Kore, you know, what makes me happy. Now you just go on with your business disregarding my needs. So what's one? Akinya kutima mara I'm not there. And then you know, it's also a danger, gentlemen. But still you still do it. You still don't listen to me. I have never reached there. You've never made me reach there. Yes, it does happen. It does happen. So no pretend that I was not pretending. You're just not making me reach there. There's a question here.
No, I have a question from Susan Andrews, who's saying, "Hi, Bo, is this sex training or GBV?" Now, I think she needs to know how do we connect intimacy to GBV. What leads to the other and vice versa. Perhaps if we can just go there and talk about it. She's listening.
Thank you, Susan. It's a very important question. And GBV issues, we can't only talk about GBV. We are talking about, actually, this GBV that we are focusing on is about intimate partners. Yes, GBV can also happen with the strangers outside there. But then for this one, we are focusing on the intimate relationships. So in these episodes, we focus on what builds healthy relationships, because we find that one of the causes of GBV is around relationship issues. That is where you find people are being frustrated. There's a lot of stress and they don't know how to communicate, and they end up engaging in GBV behavior. That is why we are unpacking these things, you know, to also assist in terms of building healthy relationships. We are dealing with the causes of GBV and to also assist in terms of reducing them. You know, other causes of GBV, they are around financial issues. Other causes, they are around mental health care issues. Other causes of GBV are around substance abuse issues. But you cannot divorce GBV from relationships. And we are trying to build healthy relationships so that neither of the parties at home, they end up having the need to be physical with each other or to inflict any kind of harm, be it psychological, sexually, or physical to one another, which is why we are unpacking it. To say to avoid this, you need to look into it. And fortunately or unfortunately, the intimacy part, it contributes a lot in terms of GBV cases. And as I said, that, when you are being intimate with each other, there are hormones that are being released that also promotes your health, which is why it's important for us to really touch on the issues that centers around intimacy. Many people, they are frustrated, they are not intimate with each other the way they should be, or maybe they are not satisfied with each other. And as a result, it builds up a lot of frustration, it builds up a lot of stress inside a person, where at the end you may find it opens the door to GBV issues, which is why we are trying to close it, to say, guys, let us look at our intimacy so that we reduce the GBV matters. So we are going to be unpacking different aspects that affect relationships. We have been doing that all along. Last episode, we touched on mental health issues that affect relationships that may lead to GBV. So today we are focusing on intimacy issues which may affect relationships, which also affect GBV issues. In the coming episodes, we are going to look at financial issues, your relationship with finances, because it contributes also to GBV issues. So it is important. Yes, I know it's really it may be a touchy subject, but it is happening. It is real. And it needs to be spoken about. So we can't run away from being intimate with each other, because it does contribute immensely to GBV issues. That is why we are touching on it in order to build healthy relationships. I hope that explanation does do justice to the question that you asked, Susan. But I think it is very important that you asked about it, because the next episodes, as we focus on finance, the question would be, how does finance, relate to GBV? Well, it is one of the causes of GBV, where you find you are not dealing effectively with your finances. And as a result, there is stress, there is whatever, which leads you, the couple, to fight against one another. So there are lots of things around relationships that we're going to be focusing on. And this one we cannot run away from, because it is very important in terms of building healthy relationships and building communities and alleviating the scourge of the gender-based violence. There are some people who cannot express themselves verbally, because of maybe the past traumas that they grew up with. So you find somebody withdrawn and not being able to express themselves. So those are the people who will be quick, to engage in GBV actions, as opposed to somebody who is more verbal. So we are trying to deal with all those aspects, so that we do not see an escalation in terms of GBV issues. I'm not sure, gentlemen, because the things that also the gentlemen are raising here, I did mention that I'm going to make it as interactive. It's real. These are the things that people are experiencing every day of their lives. This is the frustrations that people are experiencing, and we cannot really run away from it. Let me get another question.
I think you, thank you, Auspetju. I think you did answer and adequately. So I think there are many forms of gender-based violence, and rape is one of them. And when a person does not get to be satisfied, by the way, rape can be between married people. When your partner says no, it means no, and anything beyond no is rape. So and if if we cannot talk about intimacy, whether it's in a marriage relationship or courtship kind of an arrangement, much as those that believe in Christianity would say sex before marriage is taboo, is not supposed to. But one would say, how do you know that this horse can run the race if you have not tried it? You just buy the horse when it can't run the race. And how do you buy a car when you don't test drive the car? You need to know that this car can do 100 miles per gallon. It can do so many kilometers per second. You need to know that prior to. Otherwise, tomorrow you will take back that car, and you'll be saying the car is not what you thought it should be. I'm not here to advocate and promote sex before marriage, but I'm saying sometime it can always work as I haven't. Maybe there's somebody somewhere who can tell me that the Bible says they shouldn't be sex before marriage, but I haven't. It's not listed as a no. It's listed as an advice. It's not cast on stone. It's not cast on rock. It's listed as an advice to say maybe you should not do that, because if you sleep with a person, you've connected your blood and theirs are connected, and therefore you now look like husband and wife. Thanks.
Yes, so GBV also, we are focusing on rape, and there can be rape in marriage. That is why we are encouraging both the partners to be willing participants for the sake of the relationship. And what Tatamloja is saying here is opening another topic for a discussion next time. Intimacy issues, sexual intimacy, it goes deep. It's much deeper because you are becoming one. You become one flesh. There's an exchange, which is why it is very difficult once you have crossed that line with somebody to leave the person, because there is a deeper connection that takes place when you are being sexually intimate with one another. So for those who are not married, think twice, and that is where you find that people become physical with each other. Maybe people are dating. They've already crossed the line with each other. They've already slept with each other. And now they want to leave each other. It becomes very difficult. That is where you find people being violent with each other. And you can also test it for yourself. I mean, if you date somebody and you don't sleep with them and you see where the relationship is not working out, it's easy for you to walk away. But once you have slept with somebody, to show how important intimacy is, there's a deeper connection that makes it difficult for you guys to part. And then mainly due to the hormones that I talked about, the feel-good hormones that makes you even more connected to that person. So before we engage sexually with each other, because there's a lot of exchange that takes place, there's spiritual exchange, there's a bodily fluids exchange, when we are being intimate with each other, just think deeply about it. And if you can prolong it, if you can postpone it, do that. I think scripture does encourage that. Even the Quran is not only in the Bible, it does encourage that, and also the Hindu Bible. So I think our time is running out, but in closing, would like to say that we are dealing with gender-based violence issues in this podcast, and gender-based violence has many faces, which is why we are focusing on relationships for these coming episodes, because relationships are very important. There is no way that we can run away from, or we can alleviate gender-based violence if we do not focus on relationships. Let us take care of each other. Men, let us remember that women are more emotional beings, so take care of their emotional well-being. And remember that the sexual intercourse is not only in the bedroom, it's throughout the day. So let us try to be there for each other. Let us communicate with each other. Let us communicate our needs. Let us communicate our frustrations to each other so that we have more healthy, intimate relationships, so that we can build healthy families and alleviate gender-based violence. Let's take care of each other. Let's love one another. Let's respect each other. Let's build healthy relationships, and let us be happy. We do not have time. Our time here on this earth is limited. There really is no time for anything else. Let us be faithful to each other, and really, there is nothing that we cannot do for as long as we both have the same vision and we are going together in the same direction. Thank you so much. I think our time is up for our episode. Thank you for having us. Thank you for tuning in. Until we meet again next week. Thank you. Next week, I think we are going to be having real life scenarios where we are going to be interacting with women who ran away from their homes because of GBV. So we are looking at the GBV with your intimate partner, with your significant other. So from next week, we are going to have real life scenarios. These women were in relationships, or they were married, or they were staying with people, and then due to GBV issues, they found it the best to relocate or to move away. So we are going to engage with them. We're going to hear their stories so that we can really see the practicality of GBV. We shouldn't make it too theoretical. Let's make it practical. So next week, that is what we're going to be focusing on, and we are going to be proceeding with our GBV and on helping the society to overcome it. Thank you very much.